Hello, everyone. We are the Mentora team, going to be presenting to you about our minimum viable product that we've been working on over the last few weeks. We've spent a lot of time on it, and we're really excited to get to share some about what we've been working on. So to start off this presentation, I feel like it's pretty necessary to kind of take a step back and to learn why we're creating Mentora specifically. So to do that, I feel like bringing up our customer discovery is a pretty necessary process for this. So we interviewed students across the University of Arkansas to kind of get a gauge of what was their career readiness look like? What did that path look like for them? And what we found is that career readiness was really non-existent pretty much at the University of Arkansas for competitive roles. And so what we were finding is that people really felt underconnected, and these students that we met with felt like they were having a hard time breaking into different industries, specifically within computer science, finance, and engineering. We were having a lot of the students we met with were having a really hard time. And so what we found this was attributed with was that many of these students didn't have good access to mentorship. And so mentorship really only existed through completed internships that students had done in the past and got lucky with and finding, or through their personal networks, being their family, their Greek life organizations, or their professors. And what we were learning is that these students didn't have access to professional mentors, and that there was a really big gap in mentorship in that area. And so further in these interviews with students, we found that many students were willing to saw a lot of mentors value in mentorship. The ones that were really career motivated and the ones wanting to break into these harder industries were willing to spend money to break into these industries and to have some kind of commitment from a mentor. So one area we didn't really have a ton of time to research in our customer discovery was mentors joining our platform and joining whatever we make, and kind of this mentor perspective. So our riskiest assumption that we had when building Mentora, and really how we built it out, was asking, will prospective mentors be interested in joining a platform and having a monetary incentive being a reason enough for them to sign up? And so we built Mentora to test this assumption, and we made the platform so that it would help us return data on this theory that they would be willing to have money and compensation for their services. And yeah, that's how our whole platform's built out, was to test this assumption.
So now that you have a basic idea of why we built Mentora, we'll show you a little bit of a demo on how it works. So this is an intro to the Mentora platform. As you can see here, this is our landing page. It tells our users a little bit more about who we are and the services that we offer. So diving into it, we can first go into View Mentors to see the available mentors. Here you can see the different mentors that we have and a little bit about them. You can view their profile and learn a little bit more about them and what they offer. And let's say you want to book a session. So it's really simple. You go and fill your information, your contact and your email and your phone number, and can leave a little note. Now you can select a time, which is set by the mentor, and book a session with them. It then leads you to an area where you can pay them. And once that's paid, the session is set up. So going back to the mentors, let's say you want to become a mentor. It's really easy. You go into the sign-in page here, and you can set up an account. I already have an account, so I'll log in really quick. From here, you can see once I'm logged in, you can see my profile, and you're able to go to the mentor dashboard. In the availability section, you're able to select the times that you would be available to meet. As you can see here, I had some availability on Wednesday, so I set 3 sessions. Going to the booking section, you can see whenever a mentee hires you, it will show up in the confirmed bookings, and then you can go and reach out to them with their email and contact information. Here is where you connect your Stripe payment link. So you're able to input your link that allows them to go to the page where they can pay you. And that's an overview of our platform. So now that you got a little bit of an overview of our platform, let's talk a little bit about building that out. So we started off building our prototype in Lovable. Lovable was great. It allowed us to create an initial prototype that looked really, really good. But we realized while building this prototype that the more complex the prototype was, the more errors that we received. So to combat this, we decided to rebuild our entire platform from ground up to be more simple that would allow us to create a better MVP. So this was a really great opportunity, but we were really surprised by how long this took. Specifically, the longest thing that took to implement was our payment system. And this was a huge challenge. I worked with multiple different platforms to understand how we could integrate a full payment system into Mentora. But the fact that Mentora is a marketplace rather than just a business model really makes it difficult for us to make payments go between mentors and mentees. So to combat this, I created a link with Stripe, and that was the integration that you saw in the video, and it pretty much brings you to a checkout page. So this is great for the time being. It allows mentors to pretty much book sessions with no cost to them. But looking into the future, we definitely want to implement a more complex payment system and integrate APIs into this so we can take a percentage of the revenue. Finally, moving on, we want to make our platform a little bit more user-friendly. Right now, it's really important that we focus on networks to set up accounts and set up their payments and make that more accessible because we've seen a lot of pushback on the current process. And really just making this entire application flow better. But given that, we'll move on.
So going back to kind of validating this initial or riskiest assumption that we had, we really kind of had some key points in here. So first off, in our marketing strategy, we've employed kind of using our first step within this, which is using our connections and using people who we know have had this issue in the past, who are college seniors, to become mentors on our platform. And so through this, we were able to get initial contact and reach out to 6 people once our platform was developed and once we got payments figured out to test this riskiest assumption. But we only had one of these 6 people actually make it all the way through into signing up for the platform. And so what did we learn about this journey? Well, really what we figured out is we got feedback from each of these individuals, especially people who we kind of had a right to win with and who really had a more of a personal relationship with us. And here's what we learned. Firstly, our platform's really difficult to navigate. And so we need to kind of clean up the platform, make it even more user-friendly. Second, our Stripe integration requires a large amount of upfront effort, meaning that mentors can't easily make a profit quickly, as you can see in step 3 here. And our third problem is that many of these mentors, they want to spend a short amount of time setting up their account and a lot of time mentoring and making profit. And overall, our mentor onboarding process is really inefficient, and we need to work on fixing that in the future.
Our next step for Mentora is mentee acquisition. Once we have a good amount of mentors signed up in Mentora, we plan to shift our focus to attracting mentees, mainly focusing on freshmen and sophomore students in need of internship advice, resume feedback, and career clarity. This step is important for transforming Mentora from a static platform into a dynamic marketplace. For our marketing strategies, we created a flyer with easy access to our website. All I gotta do is just scan the QR code, and we then created Instagram and dropped our link and bio. Thank you.